we want him to be mainly listening to our verbals and very enthusiastic about working with us. But there's going to be times where he's distracted, or there's something more interesting going on, or he just doesn't really feel like working with us. And it's going to be very useful if we are able to use the leash with him in a way that he understands. And so when you're practicing, I want you to have specific practice sessions where you're only using the leash rather than using verbals and trying to avoid using the leash at all. I want these to be distinct sessions because we want him listening to our verbals mainly. So I don't want you relying on the leash to get him to do something. However, because we want to be able to use it when we need, I want you to practice using it specifically so that you know he understands it and you're comfortable using it with him. And so what that's going to look like is we're going to be using the leash to get him into all the commands, all the positions that he knows. And we're actually going to be using it without a verbal. So I want him just following the leash and understanding what the leash means. So if I guide him this way, I'll hold pressure steady in the leash. I'm not going to be putting a lot of force onto it. I'm just holding very light pressure. He finds it kind of annoying. As you can see, he doesn't really want to get up. This is a really good reason why we want to work on this, so that we can use the leash when we need it. So I'm going to ignore him being fussy. He's a puppy. He's going to have little fussy moments. I'm going to let him do what he thinks is going to work, and I'm going to show him that's not going to work. We're just going to wait. Yes. And then as soon as he gives into that leash, I'm going to make sure that I'm releasing all the pressure. I'm going to actively move back in with that leash, and I'm going to reward him. So I'm saying, hey, when you give it its annoying pressure, it goes away, and you might get a reward sometimes. So you have a double reason to want to make it go away. Yes. All right, just like that. So for his commands, if we want him to be sitting, the pressure, yeah, good boy, break. The pressure is going to be just straight upward. Good. For down, break. The pressure is going to be just straight downward. Good. For come, the pressure would be forward and then into a sit. Good. And then for healing, the pressure would be around to my side. Good boy. And then forward. And then anytime that I turn, I'm going to put that pressure on. Good boy. So that he follows it. Good. What you can throw in with this as well is doing really weird stuff that's not a command he even knows. So I can go sideways and wait him out. Yes. The other way. And you see here is right in front of me, so it's kind of awkward for him to move into the leash. He's like, well, shouldn't I be coming towards you? So this is a really good exercise to practice for him to have to really pay attention to where the leash is leading him to go, rather than what I'm doing or what I'm asking him. Good. And this is going to be really helpful for him to understand as he gets bigger. A dog with a really good understanding of leash pressure is a lot easier to walk than one who thinks the leash is something to fight against all the time. And when he's confused, he sometimes wants to fight against the leash. So I want to challenge him with this. Apparently, moving to the side is very hard for him, or kind of weird for him. So I'll want to practice that. I'll want you guys to practice that. Good, whenever you're doing this. Leash pressure is also a good thing to use when you need him a little bit calmer, because we don't want to do a lot of exciting, fun, intense commands, a lot of energy. I want some more calmness, and this is pretty boring. So it's a good way to get some more calmness out of him if he starts doing zoomies, or he's barking, or he just is being really fussy for some reason. I can work with him and do some more fun moving stuff, but this is good to work on him being able to tolerate good boredom and not much going on. Good. Pretty soon you can stop using treats for this, but he's a puppy. I'll use a lot of treats and food at the beginning. More treats. Good. Now we're going to be using the leash to give corrections. So if we need him to stay and he doesn't want to stay, I don't want to be getting food out again and asking him to down for food again, right? I want to just let him know, hey bud, you just got to do this. And so I can also layer the leash over verbals. So rather than using it just by itself, I can tell him down and put the leash pressure downward. So he understands, okay, when they say down, they can use a leash too, it means the same thing. And that way if he gets up when he's not supposed to, nope, I can tell him no, and I can use that leash to get him back down again without having to give him a treat for getting up and going back down. This is also where I can start to build my no command. For him, no means either his food gets taken away, he's not getting the treat, or it means you're gonna have to go do something else. I'll show you what that is. So I'll use the leash to give no meaning. I'll say if you hear no, it means you better stop what you're doing or do something else, or go back to what you were doing, or else there's gonna be some kind of consequence in the form of information from the leash. You know, pressure downward, pressure upward, or like we can use pops. Now, pop is different than pressure because it's pretty quick, right? It's more of a, hey, stop doing that right now. I'm not really telling you to do something else. I just need you to stop doing what you're currently doing. And so I might use that for barking. If he's getting bored, he starts to bark at me for attention, I might tell him no and give a quick pop on the side of the leash. If he jumps up, I might tell him nope, and then I'll ask him for a sit. And our pops are supposed to be pretty quick, right? We're gonna use our elbow. I wanna be kind of on his level, can kind of turn my body a little bit. I'm not gonna correct him right now, he's not doing anything, but it'd just be nope, and a good quick pop, like a snap, like a rubber ball hitting a wall, and then back again. Use that for jumping, for trying to beg at the table, for barking at me when he's bored. He sometimes gets a little bit frustrated with that. He might try to nibble on you. I'll just stand back up, use pressure, get him calmed down again, and then we'll keep working. If he throws a little temper tantrum without getting in trouble, it's not a big deal. We're just gonna let him work it out and then go back to doing some more calm pressure stuff. That's a good boy. You are such a good boy. Oh, thank you. Break. Good boy. So pressure, again, you're gonna use in situations where he's too distracted to listen to your treats, he doesn't really want to engage with you, he's doing something he isn't supposed to be doing, like pulling towards the bowl of food over there. Good. Or jumping on a person, or when he breaks a stay, or when we need him to calm down a little bit. So I want you to have specific practice sessions, again, of just using the leash pressure with him, even when he's not doing anything wrong, or when he's doing really good with verbals. I still want you practicing this for again, 10 minutes a day. You should be dragging the leash when you're home anyway, or when somebody's watching him anyway. So it's pretty easy just to every so often pick up the leash, ask for something, go knock on the door, go outside, walk inside, sit, and use the leash to get him into a sit if he's excited. Good boy. You'll want to practice, 5 reps of sit, 5 reps of down, a couple reps of calm, a little bit of healing, 10 turns inside of healing, as well as throwing in maybe 3 or 4 repetitions of doing it in that weird position. Another thing that I want you to be very aware of when you're doing pressure work is we want our directions to be very clear to the dog. So I'm not going to be trying to get him to sit by going like this, or I'm not going to try to be getting him to heel or move by pulling on him this way. That's really awkward. He can't really move backward very easily. See, he's not going to do a backflip. So I want to make sure that when I'm putting pressure on the leash, it's very obvious to him what direction it's going in. So I'll even lean over a little bit to be on his level, because it's going to be a lot clearer if I'm on his level than if I'm up here trying to pull him this way. He's going to have to jump in the air to get that way. I want to make sure I'm leading him in a way that's very easy for him to do, and very clear when it goes away, and very clear which direction it's trying to lead him. Good boy. So again, it'll be horizontal with his neck, perpendicular to his neck, on whichever side I want him going on. Good boy. I'll usually want to be up kind of close to the leash, because I'm not going to have very good information if I'm trying to communicate all the way out here. It's going to be pretty awkward, right? So I want to be a little bit close to the leash, and I want to make sure that when I feel pressure, I'm doing something about it. It's communication. So right now, I don't want to be just ignoring him pulling. I want to make sure I'm paying attention. I'm guiding him the opposite way of where he's going. Good. He gives in, I give in, I reward. So I want him to always understand that the pressure on the leash is information. I need to pay attention to that, and you need to pay attention to that, and make sure that when there's pressure, you say, okay, what am I telling him? What do I want him to do in response to this? How am I going to get him to do it? If it takes a minute or two for him to follow through, that's fine. The point of this isn't to force him into a position. The point of this is that he understands that even very, very light pressure has meaning. Good. You can see this is a lot less fun than the other stuff is, so he's a little bit more resistant to it, which is why it's good to work through. We want to work through this resistance and show him that his best course of action is listening to us. Good, and following through with this, and it works out for him in a lot of ways.